and salute. Former Congressman Michael McNulty will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Michael, please come forward.
Please be seated. My friend Bob asked me to say a few words about 9/11 because I was serving in Congress at that time. Before I do that, I want to thank the family of John Dingman for allowing us to honor his service to the country today, and to thank those assembled, and especially the county executive and our members of Congress and our other public officials for continuing this tradition for so many years. We just finished 30 years of this program in Albany County, 28 years here in Rensselaer County. It's an important thing to do, to keep our priorities straight, and to remember that had it not been for all of the men and women who wore the uniform of the United States military through the years, we would not have the privilege of going around bragging, as I often do, about how we live in the freest and most open democracy on earth. Freedom isn't free. We have paid a tremendous price for it. And I try not to let a day go by without remembering with deepest gratitude all of those who wore the uniform of the United States military through the years, were willing to go to far-off places, put their lives on the line for us, and especially those who made the supreme sacrifice, like my brother Bill, and many of the people that I'm looking at in this audience, who went to far-off places and did that same thing, put their lives on the line, but thankfully came back home and continued to render outstanding service in the community. These are the things that I'm most grateful for today. I remember 9/11 like it was yesterday. I was in the Rayburn building of the House of Representatives, and I was walking back past a television monitor, and the first plane had struck, and there was a lot of confusion about what had happened. By the time the second plane struck the building, it became clear that it was an attack on our country. I was transfixed. I watched people as they ran in horror away from those buildings. And then I saw some people running in the opposite direction, and I said to myself in that split second, oh my God, they're running the wrong way. And then I saw the uniforms, the police officers, the firefighters, the medical personnel, running toward the buildings, into the buildings, up the stairs, many to their deaths. And I remember one of those firefighters who survived later on, when he was asked by a reporter, why did you do that? And he simply said, that's our job. And so let's never forget those who served to protect our country in far-off places, but also never forget those people who put their lives on the line for us here at home every day to protect our lives and our property. And as far as veterans are concerned, I just want to conclude by saying every morning when I get up, the first two things I do are to thank God for my life and veterans for my way of life.
Thank you, Michael. Color Guard Post. Please rise for our opening prayer, followed by a moment of silence in memory of the victims of September 11th terrorist attack, all military and first responders who have since passed away from ground zero illness. Brooke Levitt will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, you who are the source of our life, strength, and purpose, in your presence alone we find help, hope, and life. Guide us during this hour of fellowship and reflection to be grounded with a healing reminder of your love to all whose lives you touch this day. For it is in your glory we gather and offer our prayer. Amen.
Thank you all. Please be seated. Good morning. My name is Tim Forbes. I'm the chairman of the Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Committee. We've gathered here this morning to honor a deceased Rensselaer County veteran of the month of September, and that veteran is John E. Dingman. We're honored to have with us this morning his family members, Linda Dingman, his widow, Beth and Joseph Jewett McDade, daughter and son-in-law, Melanie and Jay Corbin, daughter and son-in-law, Jason Dingman, son, Ellie Wood and Linda Treater, sisters, Frank Dingman, a brother, Chris and Michelle Garhart, family friends, Peter and June Gaynor, family friends. We also have two grandchildren, Justin Kramer and Jordan Kramer. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Also with us today to honor our Veteran of the Month, representing Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin, will be Kevin Miller. Representing Congresswoman Elise Stefanik Reed Shonas, former Congressman Michael McNulty, New York State Senator Jake Ashby, New York State Assemblyman Scott Bendit, our Legislative Vice Chairman Robert Loveridge, our Legislative Veterans Committee and Veterans Committee Chairman Kenneth Harrington, our Rensselaer County Court Judge Deborah Young, our newly appointed Rensselaer County Veteran Service Agency Director, Mr. Kevin Miller. Also with us are Mark Fleming and Tom and Grant, Ken Harrington and Robert Loveridge. As we are all aware, Memorial Day and Veterans Day are special days to remember all of our veterans. This program was created to help us honor our veterans all year round. To us here in Rensselaer County, every day is Veterans Day. The Rensselaer County Honor a Deceased Veteran Program represents veterans organizations throughout the entire county. This includes members of the American Legion, the Disabled American Veterans, the Veterans of Lansingburg, the Military Order of Purple Heart, the Marine Corps League, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the Korean War Veterans, Tri-County Council of Vietnam-era Veterans, the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, Vietnam Veterans of America, the AMVETS, and also our own Rensselaer County Veterans Service Agency, including Lonnie. I will now ask, I've got to check, Mr. Robert Loveridge to come forward and read us a little bit about our honored Veteran of the Month, Marine John E. Dingman. Robert?
Thank you, Tim. Our county legislators, please join me up front. And Colonel. Thank you to the Digman family for being here this morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Bob Loveridge, and I welcome you all to the Honor a Vet ceremony this month. I want to thank Congressman McNulty for his kind words and for his experience. We shall never forget, and we should never forget. On this day, we reflect upon the tragedy and unfolding of September 11, 2001, when our country faced unprecedented acts of terror. Thousands of innocent lives were lost, heroes emerged, and our nation united in the face of adversity. As we remember the victims and the resilience of our great nation at ceremonies taking place across our country, today we also honor the memory of Rensselaer County veterans who served their great country. Today we honor John E. Digman, a man who dedicated his life to service, family, and community, embodying the values that make our country strong. John's journey is a testament to the unwavering spirit of those who answered the call to service, even in our darkest times. John was one of 6 children born to Francis and Mildred Digman, growing up in Castleton, New York. He shared his upbringing with 3 sisters, Shirley, Lydia, and Ellie, and 2 brothers, Charles and Frank. His family instilled in him the values of hard work, commitment, and the importance of service to one's country. After completing his education in Schodack Central School District and graduating from Maple Hill High School, John made a pivotal decision that would shape the course of his life. On August 28, 1969, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in Albany, answering the call to service his nation with selfless dedication. During his time in the Marine Corps, John served as a special radio operator with the Electronic Warfare Company, 2nd Radio Battalion. He received extensive training, including a 47-week Burmese language course and a 20-week radio communication technology course. His role was integral to the vital mission of radio battalions, which are tactical signal intelligence units of the Marine Corps. These units played a crucial role in supporting Marine expeditionary units in the fleet operations. On August 27, 1973, Sergeant Digman was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps. Having served his country with distinction, his exemplary service earned him the Good Conduct Medal and the National Defense Service Medal, tokens of recognition for his dedication and commitment to duty. When he returned to civilian life, John embarked on a new chapter by marrying Linda Jewett on October 8, 1983, in Castleton. He continued to exemplify his dedication, this time to his family. John and Linda raised 3 wonderful children, daughters Beth and Melanie, and son Jason. To provide for his family, John dedicated 4 decades of his life to GE Plastics in Selkirk before retiring. Outside of work, John embraced his passions for hunting, fishing, and camping. The Adirondack Gateway RV Resort held a special place in his heart, a sanctuary where he created cherished moments with his loved ones. Above all, John cherished his time with his grandchildren and sharing his knowledge and love for the outdoors by teaching bow hunting courses and rifle classes. His dedication to responsible firearms ownership led him to become a member of the National Rifle Association. On November 21, 2020, our nation lost a hero when John passed away. He is survived by his loving wife, Linda, his daughters, Beth, Melanie, his son, Jason, his sisters, Lydia and Eleanor, his brother, Frank, and his adoring grandchildren, Justin, Jordan, Abby, Alexa, and Elena. John was preceded in death by his parents, Francis and Mildred, his sister, Shirley, and his brother, Charles. Today, we honor the memory of a man who epitomized service, devotion to his family, and a love for the great outdoors. John E. Digman's final resting place is the Gerald B.H. Solomon Saratoga National Cemetery in Schuylerville, where he rests among his fellow veterans. We want to thank the Digman family for allowing us to honor him here today. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Veteran Committee representative, Mr. Ken Harrington.
Thank you. Before I have anything to say here as chairman, I'd like to ask Tom Walsh, Colonel Tom Walsh, who filled my position as chair in this committee for what, about 20 years? So out of the 28, Tom served 20 of those. So Tom, would you like to, Colonel Walsh, would you like to say a word or two?
I want to thank the family for turning out for John today. It shows that you really loved him. I don't know how you can do that to a Marine, though. And I don't understand either. He's the third Marine now that's got the Good Conduct Medal. That's kind of hard to believe from a Marine. You got to understand, I bust on the Marines all the time. But John was very important, did a very important job for the Marine Corps when he was in electronic intelligence. That passed a lot of good information on to the units that they were supporting. And I can't say enough about that. I will say, though, we're going to have John's name up on to all the heroes over there, or all the veterans that we honored over the past years. And it'll be on this year's post. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I would just like to say that, 1969, when he volunteered to serve, that was a time of a lot of turmoil here in the country, and people weren't treating some of our soldiers very well at that time. So, I mean, it takes a lot for a guy to volunteer during those times, and I can't believe. I mean, he took 47 weeks of Burmese language training. It would take me 47 months to do that. What a feat! So that just shows the dedication of someone like John to his country. As chairman, it's my honor to present a copy of this proclamation from the county legislature to John, to you, John's family, for his time in service. I'm sort of like the congressman. I did serve, but I stop every morning to thank all those others who served and made the ultimate sacrifice. I was one of those guys that didn't make that ultimate sacrifice to serve for the freedom we enjoy today. And sometimes I get a little nervous about those freedoms and I want to make darn sure that we keep going in that same direction. Thank you. And get that out of your way.
Thank you all. I want to jump back a second. I didn't introduce Colonel Fisher from the Waterville Arsenal. He's the commanding officer that is nice enough to participate in our ceremony, and we really appreciate him. I'll now ask the Rensselaer County Executive Steve McLaughlin, represented by Kevin Miller, to come forward.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dingman family. From listening to what everyone had to say about John, that man must have had one heck of a drive and determination. Again, 47 weeks? No. I learned Pashto and Dari to go to Afghanistan and I had 2 weeks, and I remembered like hello and goodbye. That was about it. I couldn't remember anymore. So I can't imagine 47 weeks of doing that. That's just crazy. Here in Rensselaer County, we have honored, or we have vowed to never forget the service and sacrifice of our men and women and their families. And today, I think we did that by speaking about John and his dedication to his family, his service, his outdoor activities that he loved. That's just true dedication from a man that must have been unbelievably honored by his whole family and friends to be here today. So on behalf of myself and the county executive, Steve McLaughlin, I would just like to say thank you for allowing us to honor him today. And thank you for being here. And thank you to everyone else for being here as well to honor this man.
Thank you, Kevin. I will now ask Reed Cronus, representing Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, to come forward.
Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, I'd want to thank the Dingman family for allowing us the privilege of honoring Sergeant John Dingman today. On behalf of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, I'm honored to present not only an American flag that has been flown over the Capitol, but also a congressional record that will be read into the record by the Congresswoman. All those who have served in our armed forces and sacrificed their lives for this great country followed their duty every single day. Now it is our duty to honor their lives, remember their sacrifice, and make the most out of the freedom that they fought for. Mr. Dingman's role as a special radio operator, touched by many today, is as important as any, and our office is thankful for the opportunity today to honor him. Thank you.
Thank you, Reed. I will now ask New York State Senator Jake Ashby to come forward.
Good morning. I want to thank the county executive. I want to thank Congressman McNulty, all my other colleagues in state and local government, and the family for being here. And it's a pretty solemn day for a couple reasons, but it's a real privilege to be able to honor John here today. And it was mentioned earlier, him serving in a time when there was a lot of division, and people who served didn't necessarily get the recognition that they needed, but he did it anyway because he thought it was the right thing to do. He knew it was the right thing to do. And that type of attitude inspires. It inspires future generations, generations like myself, other veterans that are in the crowd. Many of us got to bear witness on September 11th, 2001, the heroics that took place. And a few of those heroes that were in the towers saving people were also Vietnam veterans, Vietnam-era veterans. They were there not thinking of themselves, thinking of the other people that were there in a selfless act. And John's act of serving at a time of division and not wavering to the cultural clashes that were going on, and continuing his duty in those 3 years, making E5, gaining the rank of sergeant. That's a pretty big accomplishment. That doesn't happen often. Those type of actions continue to inspire. And I'm really happy that such a big portion of your family is here today, especially the kids. I would bet that you're going to remember this and you're going to talk about it. And a lot of the traditions that John encountered and brought to his family through his time in service are going to be passed down and continue to have that effect for generations to come. On behalf of the New York State Senate, I do have a proclamation here for you, and I want to thank you for letting me be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. I'll now ask New York State Assemblyman Scott Bendet to come forward.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being here, and thank you to the family for allowing us to honor John today. I think Congressman McNulty really said it the best earlier today when he was talking about 9/11, and he was speaking about, you know, everybody running away, and then there were people in uniform running in to help people. The same thing was happening in 1969. People were running away from joining the armed forces to go to Vietnam. And there were a select few people that didn't have to be drafted that actually went and signed up for their mission. And John was one of those. Talk about incredible bravery. And then if you talk about the dedication in his life after service, about being a hunter and teaching people hunting and firearm safety, the dedication that it requires to be a hunter is really, you know, quite magnificent from start to finish. And I think that again shows his dedication to starting a mission and completing it. So on behalf of the New York State Assembly, myself, Assemblyman John McDonald, and on behalf of all 19.5 million people in New York State, we'd like to give you a citation from the New York State Assembly as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Scott. I'll now ask Colonel Fisher, the commander of the Waterville Lead Arsenal, to come forward.
Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Yep. Today's one of those special or one of those days that you will never forget where you were 22 years ago. I vividly remember watching the events unfold on the television during my young course of service. I was barely about a year and a half in, watching it from afar when serving with the 25th Infantry Division. And so, you know, on that day, you know, you look at the tragedy that happened, and I'm gonna talk about Marine Dingman here in a minute, family and Linda. But you think about what was the ultimate gift those individuals who made the supreme sacrifice for us on that day, what did they give us? And I will tell you that they gave us the gift of understanding what is in 1 ounce of personal courage. What is in that 1 ounce of personal courage that led somebody to make a personal choice to run into the face of danger, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what the gunfire sounds like, no matter what the heat, dust, fire, oil, and for strangers, they would never met before or seen down or walking down the street. And I will tell you in 1969, that's what Marine Corps Dingman did as well. He didn't know who he was going to serve with, if he was going to be sent in a land far away over the horizon to serve in a country where decisions were being made in the face of democracy and the defense of freedom. He didn't know who his Marine Corps men would be on his left and right and what would they need from him, but he served the country honorably. Now, I'm not a Marine. They just changed the uniform on us. But I will tell you, Linda, I think I see a couple of Marines here, maybe in the future. I'm doing some recruiting on the Marine Corps. But to the grandchildren, you have an historic grandfather, someone that you should be absolutely proud of, and to the sons and grandkids as well. This should be some story and legacy that you should look up to. And you, as you come to the halls of Rensselaer County, which now I'm an officially resident because me and my family moved over here this month. You come here, you know, another place to understand and recognize the service of John. And so, you know, when we, like I said, when we look at September 11th, most of us, we understood where we were at. And so when you drive on 787, and today, not every day that flag flies at half staff, but today they'll fly at half staff for the memories and the events that unfolded. And below that flag flies the POW and the MIA missing flags. We know we have service members who during that period of service still remain unaccounted for, and we remain ultimately committed to bringing those service members back home and to their family members. So on behalf of Watervliet Arsenal, a grateful nation, and all those individuals working there at the Arsenal, please accept a token of our appreciation, Linda, for your husband's service. And know when you drive by Watervliet Arsenal and its teammates there, are family to you, and we still continue to serve and produce in the defense of freedom.
Thank you very much, Colonel. John Raitano from the Rensselaer County Honor Deceased Veteran Committee will present our committee plaque at this time. Will the committee members please stand?
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Please stand for the closing prayer, followed by taps. Retire the colors. And salute. 2. This concludes our Honor of Vet ceremony for this month. Thank you for coming and to honor our deceased Veteran of the month of September, Marine John E. Dingman. Please join us for our next Honor of Veteran ceremony scheduled for October 10th. Before we go our separate ways, we'll take a few family photos, and the flag will be raised at a different time and presented to the family later. Thank you all.